Hello? Hello? Right, okay, moving on. Logged in. Right. Hello, hello, hello. Right, that looks like it's all good. We'll get the stream up just to test the audio, make sure it's working. And then I'll get started with the commentary. Right, there we go. Okay. Right, that's all sorted. And then looks like all ready to go. As soon as everyone's in, we'll get started, and I'll get started with the intro. Looks like we've got 3 people already watching, so welcome, guys. Not quite started with the intro just yet, but thanks for tuning in earlier. Do appreciate that. Yeah, so we'll just get started in a moment, and yeah. So when people start reading up, we'll get going. Let's get some track facts up as well. There we go. Zach Marshall, thanks for checking in, mate. Looks like I'm pretty good. Set up a new mic, so do give me your opinions on it. Of course, if it's a bit fuzzy or anything like that, do tell me. We'll be setting a webcam and a green screen up, hopefully for next stream. So that is something to look forward to as well. So yeah, everything's alright, mate. How about yourself? Right, looks like everyone's getting ready to go. So, hello everyone and welcome back to the APPF1 community. We're here for another Sunday night sprint race. I'm Zach and we'll be here for the Australian and Brazilian Grand Prix. So, if you don't know how the Sunday night sprints work, it's a one-shot quali with a 25% race for the first one. Damage is now on reduced. It's a clear weather with corner cutting stringency on strict. Then after the first race, the reverse grid, so pole will start, the winner of the first race will start last for the second one, second last, third last, etc. And yeah, just to spice it up a bit, have a bit of fun, we're here in the F1 cars as well at the Melbourne Park, Albert Park Melbourne circuit, the 5-kilometre circuit, 5.3-kilometre circuit, about 3.2 miles with 16 turns, 10 to the right and 6 to the left. Poses quite a bit of a challenge. The street circuit, of course, the nature of it does make it pretty hard to overtake as well. So hopefully we've got a pretty good race in store for us today. One-shot quali then, and we'll be seeing who takes the pole position here for APPF1 at the first Sunday night sprint. Yeah, I will. I don't quite know how to set up a thumbnail for a stream yet. I'll go onto YouTube Studio and set it up now, just while we're waiting for everyone to ready up and everything. Can I do it now? I don't think I can now. I can't quite do it now. I might need to go onto a laptop and do it, which I don't have at the moment. So unfortunately, there won't be a thumbnail until after. I will make one ready for after the race. Moosey and Sonic, both thank you for checking out the stream. I do appreciate it. So we're here for the one-shot quali then, and ready for everyone to go and set their best lap. Obviously, one-shot quali, you only get one chance. It looks like everyone apart from Callum is opting for the softer tyre and going for the more orthodox strategy. So it'll be interesting to see how everyone gets on then. And through turn 1, we're on board with Davila in the Haas, third gear to get the little short shift to fourth as well to get better traction and run through the left-hander. Through turn 6, the flat out right hander, and coming on to round sector 1, 26.6 through the first sector. Very quick then from Davila, his provisional pole as it stands. And he's looking pretty good through the fast turn 8, flat out in these cars. Turn 9 into third gear, bit of a lock up, use all that curb on the inside, short shift to fourth to get the power down, and flat through turn 10, this long left-hander that proceeds into the infamous turn 11-12 chicane. Not even braking, just the lift down to 6th gear, chucking it in flat for the exit. If you get it right, Davila a little bit deep and couldn't quite get his foot flat, but into the second DRS. It looks like Ghost has overtaken him for provisional pole, and coming into the final sector then, turn 13, third gear to get the extra rotation, gets a bit of a lock up though, and through this fast right-hander of turn 14 into 15, second gear using the bit of the curb. He's back up into provisional pole position across the final corner into fourth gear, fifth gear to get the extra power down and across the line for the one-shot quality. It looks like Vardy's also up into P2. Davila pole from Vardy, very, very quick time there with a 21.1, 21.5, 21.5 from the top 2 and 3. So very close then in the top 2 and 3 positions, and Davila with a 4/10 faster pole time than everyone else. So a very, very good lap out of the gate from Davila, and we'll run through the rest of the grid. So Davila on pole, Vardy second, blocking out the front row. The other racing point of Ghost into P3, Ted P4, Scott P5, Palfs with a really good qualifying then in P6, P7 from Ginger Prince, and P8 from Sumo. A lot of disqualifications. Tier, Callum, Starry and Topher all disqualified and will be rounding off the grid in 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th. So it looks like we are in store for a pretty good race here at the Melbourne Grand Prix circuit. But yeah, pretty close times from most of the guys. Palf's not looking too bad. Obviously he's only I think 6th race on wheel on a Sunday, so he's looking pretty good as well. So yeah, looks like we could be in for a pretty decent race as well, guys. If you are in the chat, do make sure to like and subscribe if you do enjoy. It does help the channel and myself out as well. Shout out to all the APPF1 guys who are doing an incredible job and giving me a lot of support as well, which I do really appreciate, of course. So just while everyone readies up, adjusts their fuel and everything like that, we'll be waiting. I don't know if there's a formation lap. I'm not too sure. If someone could correct me. There was a formation lap last week for the last race. I don't know if they're doing the same for this race. Obviously with damage on reduce, it could be a pretty cautious start into turn 1. Reduce doesn't give you too much damage unless it's sort of like a bigger hit, but after last week there was a lot of contact, so they thought damage would make everyone calm down a little bit, and hopefully the theory is going to be okay, and everyone should keep it clean, and it's a good race. It was very good racing last week, so hopefully that can carry over for today. So it looks like it is going to be a formation lap start. Yeah, so formation lap. Davila leads us off the formation lap off the grid, and just while he goes around and is trying to warm his tyres up. We've got 12 drivers on the grid tonight, so a decent sized grid, not quite as big as last time, but still good enough for us to have a really good race for today. If you did miss it, I will run through the grid again. So Davila leads off the pole position, Vardy in second, Ghost in third, Ted rounding off the second row in P4, Scott in P5, Palfs in P6, Ginger Prince in P7, Sumo in P8, Tier in P9, Callum P10, Starry in P11 and Topher in P12. We've got quite a lot of quick drivers as well. Callum obviously winning last week's Mexico race. GG Ghost as well, looks pretty good. Davila as well, obviously on pole position, looks pretty comfortable around this trip. The predicted pit stop strategy, a soft to medium or soft to hard, depending on how confident you feel on your tyres. Pitting around the lap 7 mark for those medium or hard tyres, powered obviously by AWS F1 Insights, giving us a pretty nice insight into the strategy. I'm not really too familiar with F1 League racing nowadays, so I'm not really sure. So good that they have that. Potentially could be good. Obviously track position is quite crucial around this circuit. So potentially we could see some undercuts or overcuts. Obviously going for the overcut, you pit a lap or 2 later. You have the worst tyres, you come out, you have that fresh tyre, you can push straight out the gate and have the fresher tyres towards the end as well. If you go longer, if the people around you pit too early and they get caught in a bit of traffic and have to battle, again you can definitely make the disadvantage you have on being all the tyres up. And when you come out, you can gain along it. That's one of the gains. A disadvantage, obviously, you're on older tyres for longer, and you have to nurse them a little bit longer. Davila just backing up the pack and warming his tyres up. With an undercut, you pit a lap or 2 earlier. You have fresher tyres sooner, so you can make that time up earlier. You obviously have worse tyres towards the end of the race, but a risk of that is if you do come out in traffic from pitting a lap earlier, then it does cost you. It does cost you quite a lot of time and could even lose you a couple of places. But Davila without me waffling on, Davila does round off and is coming onto the grid ready for the lap 1 of 15. So everyone rounding onto the grid, standing start, and we go to 5 red lights once the back of the pack has rounded off. So as soon as Topher is in, we'll see the green flag and the lights show up on screen as we get ready for 15 laps of the Melbourne Grand Prix circuit. So we're getting ready, everyone getting ready to that 12,000 RPM mark. We go to 4 lights, 5 lights, and it is lights out and away we go. Very quick start from Davila then. He's got a lot of wheel spin. A Renault looking quick off the gate there, and the Renault, Red Bull trying to get a bit shaky as well. Racing points going side by side through turn 1. It looks like Davila leads pretty comfortably then, and Vardy holding station. Looks like Ted is getting caught up a bit. He's on the grass going for a bit of rallycross, as well as his Red Bull teammate further back. He's going to be under pressure from the McLaren as Scott looks to go around the outside. He's sending it around the outside. It's a bold move to make. He's got the move done. Is Ted going to give him the space on the inside? He's going to back out of that. It's a long sweeping left-hander, and it's going to leave him vulnerable to the Haas of House, who sends it up the inside. He sent Scott wide, and Scott is not looking too comfortable on the grass there, and the Renault's going side by side as well. A lot of action going on, and 2 racing points then. Vardy hangs on to that P2 for the time being. It looks like his teammate is trying to hang with him and keep with his teammate, who's also trying to keep with the race leader of Davila, who stretched his lead up to 8 tenths already. Further back we've got Callum and who is that? I'm completely lost for words, sorry about that. Scott up to P6. There's a spinner though, and Davila from the race leader spun round. I didn't catch that quite on stream, but Davila at the turn 11-12 chicane has been spun round, and from the race lead, he was looking so comfortable off the start, and that is a promoted G Ghost into the lead of the race, followed by his teammate Vardy, who's also managed to lose the position to his teammate. So he is on the back foot and looking to get back past his teammate. Looks like Davila has managed to get going again. He might have a bit of damage on the back of that racing point. Is the stream all okay? It looks like it is okay. Awesome. Just got a bit of an error message on my phone. But G Ghost then leads us off to lap 1. Vardy close on his tail. Ted as well looking to get in on the action. We've got quite a few position changes then, and Davila is the biggest loser. Topher run up 4 positions off the start though, and it's a great start from him up into P8. Further back though, have we got any battles going on? Looks like Topher is on the back of the Ferrari, looking to get past. There's a Renault of tier behind him as well. Topher opting for the medium tyres. He obviously qualified outside the top 10, so we had the free choice of strategy tier wide as well, and having to completely back off to avoid a spin. Topher then looking to get past the Ferrari for P7, and he's looking pretty eager to do that. He's in the slipstream. He's not quite got overtake, and he's got a little bit less ERS than Callum in front. Obviously ERS is the energy recovery system, so when they brake, all that kinetic and heat energy is transferred into electrical energy to charge a battery, which powers a motor to give them an extra about 140 brake horsepower, and for these cars that's quite significant, and can give them up to about 10 miles per hour extra. He's looking to go to the inside though. He's on the back of Callum. He looks to the outside. It's a bold move to make. Can he get late enough on the brakes? He's not quite going to be able to do it. Callum holding on to that position quite well then. This P7 might not be the wisest thing to be defending. He's losing time to the cars ahead. Palf's up into P4 then. A great start from him. Let's see if he can hang on to it for the rest. There's yellow flags through sector 3. Is that Davila around again? It might just be Starry having a bit of a shaky moment then, but G Ghost still leads. We'll go back to the battle. He's looking up the inside for turn 1. Callum squeezing him all the way to the inside. It's a bold move to make, going up the inside into turn 1. There's not quite enough room to go 2 by 2, but he's managed to claim the corner, and Callum's set up a cutback. He's looking to the outside for turn 3, and it's going to be quite a daring move to make. He's going for it though. He's late on the brakes around the outside. A big old lockup, but he's managed to get his foot in around the outside. Topher gives him the room. Looks like Callum got a bit of a shaky exit there, and when he did try to correct it, he went into the side of Topher, who's been given a bit of wing damage. Looks like Callum has let them both through though after that bit of contact, so Topher's left with a bit of wing damage, and he's going to be losing a bit of downforce, which is allowed Tier, obviously where Callum let them through, has managed to capitalise on that as well. And with Topher with damage, Tier could be the biggest winner out of all of these guys up in front. Looks like now we're on lap 3. We're going to have a bit of DRS as well, so further up Ted with DRS on Vardy. Looks like Vardy's getting a bit of a shaky start, not quite being able to get into the momentum of the race for the moment. It looks like Ted isn't quite going to be close enough then, and Vardy is hanging on into that DRS of his teammate up in front. Topher with a 3-second penalty, obviously that damage is not quite going to be as quick as he perhaps wants. Callum making a move further back as well. We're only lap 3 of 15. And is Topher going to manage to hold on to that wing damage, or is he going to have to pit early and sacrifice, perhaps going on to the hard? The hard tyres could definitely work for him. and hopefully they do work for him if he does have to pit early. But Ted looking like he's lost a little bit of ground to Vardy up in front. He's not quite as close enough as he would have liked. He's not got quite a lot of ERS compared to Vardy, who's got a lot of ERS, and so has his teammates. So the racing points looking like they're conserving. They don't really need to use the ERS for the time being. Looks like Callum is into the pit, so potentially picked up a little bit of damage, or just opting for an alternate strategy. He must have picked up a little bit of damage from his little ding-dong battle with Topher, so potentially a little bit of damage provided to Callum, which has definitely not given him the best run for the race. What tyres has he opted for though? That is going to be the interesting thing if it does let me go up. He's opted for the medium tyres, so he's confident those mediums will take him to the end of the race. Further back though, we've got Dabbler on a charge coming back. He hasn't actually picked up much damage, surprisingly, to that front wing end plate of the Haas, so he is looking pretty good. He's got a bit of a shaky rear end to go once again, managing to hold that though. Very impressive save from Dabbler. His heart is definitely in his mouth then, but he's lost a lot of time to Tier in front, pushing that hard. His tyres are going to be scorching as well. He's in ERS overtake, and that's draining all of his battery. Dabbler from last week has proved he's not the best at saving ERS compared to Tier in front of him. He's got quite a lot as well. Looks like the field has already spread out quite a bit, so quite a bit of a pace gap then from everyone. There's yellow flags, a few sector 2. It looks like Callum's spun round, or Starry, one of the two. There's yellow flags there. Regardless, looks like they've both got going again once again though. Paus though looking pretty quick here at Australia. Looks like that new tuned Australia setup is working pretty well for him then, as he finds himself in P4, his highest position yet. He's got Scott chasing him down though, and this 3-car train for the lead, all within DRS, but Ghost managing to hold his nerve pretty well. He's not, making as many mistakes. He's not making quite as many mistakes at all. He's really consistent. He's holding his nerve. He's got two very quick drivers behind him who are pretty eager to take that race lead off him. A third of the way through the race then on lap 5, and Ghost still leads the way from Vardy, from Ted, from Paus, from Scott, from Sumo, Topher in P7. Dabbler making a move on Tier up into P8 into turn 7. Very daring move, must have had a really good run, and he's up into P8. Tier falling down to P9 then. The other Renault in P10. There's yellow flags through sector 2. Is that an AlphaTauri of Scott? It looks like Scott got a bit shaky, and Sumo's managed to capitalise on that and got round into P5. Ted still on the back of Vardy, who seems to have fallen out of the DRS range of his teammate. He's getting a bit of a lock-up, so potentially just pushing to try and get back into that DRS range. Ghost, though, looking really quick in these early stages of the race. Vardy potentially just with a bit of a more quali-oriented setup, and he looks to not be doing it as well as he did in quali in the race. Just can't quite find the rhythm that he needs. Ted as well closing them down, so it looks like it's just more of a DRS train. No one can really catch up, and I'm sure if Vardy did want to start pushing, he could, as Ghost has actually tried to extend the gap with his ERS. He hasn't quite been able to do that though. He's expended a little bit of ERS to try and extend the gap. It's only made him get 3/10 further, so Vardy is now going to have to push and react to that to get back into the DRS range. Ted is going to capitalise the most off this though, as Vardy has lost a key defending tool here with a 3-second penalty further back, but Ted has lost a key defending tool against his rival, who now doesn't have the DRS to defend with, and Ted is going to be the main winner of that. He's lost a lot of ERS though, so he's not going to have a lot to attack with. He's pushing everything to try and stay within this DRS range though, and Vardy looking to just try and get back into the G-Ghost DRS range. He's got a lot of ERS to use to try and do it, and it looks like he's just banking it up for a quicker second stint. Scott though still on the back of Sumo, looking to make up some positions. Dabbler only 5 seconds behind. He's looking quick on a recovery drive after what happened. He's still got the reverse grid sprint race yet to go, so still not all hope is lost for him. There's yellow flags in sector 3. Is that a Haas round? It looks like Paths' round after what looked to be such a promising start. He's had a bit of a moment, spun round at the turn 11 chicane, similar to how his teammate did of Dabbler earlier in the race, and he's falling back down to P7. So what looked to be such good pace has turned into a bit of calamity, and he's down behind his teammate and got really dirty tyres as well, you can see by the understeer. But Ted, as Vardy comes into the pits, he's the first of the soft runners to pit, so Ted into that clear air and looking to chase after G-Ghost. Potentially now he's not going to catch Ghost up in front. He can try and save a little bit of ERS, but Vardy, as I was talking about on the formation lap, going for that undercut. Let's see where he comes out in traffic. He's got a couple of people coming through now. He might come up behind the Renault. No, he's coming out in clear air just behind is that Tier. He's coming out just behind the Renault of Tier there, so he's going to have a nice bit of clear air, and he's played the strategy pretty well. Scott's still trying to get past Sumo. He drives himself off the track and picks up a 3-second time penalty Not too confident then through the preceding right-hander. There's another spinner. Looks like Vardy's had a bit of an off coming through turn 2. Bit of a shaky exit, and he's going to fall down to P8. So not what he wants to do on these fresh medium tyres, potentially not getting them up to temperature as well as he perhaps could have. And Paus down to P9. Has he made a stop though in this race? It looks like he has. He's come in and reacted to his spin for his tyres that have gone. They're not going to be what he needs for the remainder of the race. So Paus down into P9 after his pit stop. Let's see how it does play out for him. And is there anyone who was on the alternate strategy? So it looks like Callum was, but he pit early after a bit of a ding-dong battle with Topher. So, you know, he has and Ted into the pits. Sorry, I'm a bit lost for words today. But Callum then essentially, as he didn't qualify in the top 10, opted for the soft start and now onto the mediums. But Ted into the pits then. Can't only go for the undercut on Ghost, who also comes into the pits. But Stock then will inherit the race lead. He's going for an extended stint, going for the overcut, looking to make some ground up this way while everyone fights in the pit lane. Further back, we have got Topher on the back of Paus. 4P9. Paus then still on his, still pretty new to wheel. There's Yellow Factory Sector 3. It looks like Callum's round coming off the exit of turn 13 then, and he's going to be shaky and eager to try and get going. Just doesn't want to heat those tyres up any more than he has to. He's got a big old lock up, and it looks like he's going to come in for some new tyres as well as a front wing maybe. So yeah, not the ideal start for Callum, who struggled last week in the first race. Looking to try and maybe claim the pole position for the next race. He's got a 5-second time penalty as well for speeding the pit lane. As we were talking about that though, Topher managed to get past Paus through T1 and 2 and down into T3, I'm assuming. So good move for him to make up into P8. He's also got a penalty, so he needs to be on the charge. Davila 1 second in front, who's also made a stop for the medium tyres. So Topher opting for the softs and taking them to the end, potentially after starting on the mediums. He's looking to go for a faster second stint, which hopefully can work out for him if he does have the pace and consistency, which he's so far shown after a couple of good battles. He's also low on fuel, so he's going to need to save a bit of that as well. And yeah, so not the most chaotic race as we saw last week. Scott into the pits then, so is Tier, the 2 front runners then finally into the pits, looking to see where they come out after that overcut then. They're now driving out of the pit lane, as is that Sumo's driving around, so he is going to get an undercut on them. But the McLaren then, let's see where he does come out. He's now exiting the pit spin limit line. Sumo has managed to get past him though, but Scott with the fresher tyres can definitely be looking to try and chase after him. Davila with the momentum could be chasing after him as well. Great comes once again, mate. Appreciate it, Mark. Cheers for checking out the stream as well. If you are enjoying, of course, do like and subscribe. It would be greatly appreciated. Bit of a spread out grid now, but we've got a Yellow Factory Sector 3. Callum has retired from the session then. Must have got a massive tank slapper through the turn 11-12 chicane, and it's a virtual safety car, so the driver's going to have to adhere to a 40% race speed delta and slow down while the track is under full course yellow to try and get rid of the car of Callum. Luckily not a full safety car then, as in a 15-lap race that could cause a lot of mishap. But this could close the grid up a little bit. Let's ride on board with Ghost and see how he lost it if the car is still there. Nope. But the virtual safety car, after Callum's car did despawn, DRS back enabled, and we're under green flag racing once again. Davila trying to chase down Scott for P5 after his early sprint from pole position, chucking it into the turn 11-12 chicane. Bit of a cut through there. Doesn't look like he picked up a warning. He's low on ERS, but he's got the DRS. Scott with almost a full battery to use then, and looking to defend this P5 position. Davila looking really quick from earlier in qualifying. Bit shaky through turn 13 though, and he's got Topher behind him as well. So if he gets caught up behind Scott, Topher could definitely be in a shout for this P5 and 10 points paying position. Davila running really close to the gearbox of Scott, and in DRS coming down into turn 1 then. Is he going to be close enough for this P5 position? Further up, there's not quite a battle going on just yet. Let's see towards later in the race if there's any mistakes or just a sudden burst of speed from anyone up there. We can have a bit more of a race. 2/3 into this race then, and only 5 laps to go. And I've lost audio. My controller's disconnected. My controller's disconnected. Brilliant. All good now. Should be back up and running. Sorry about that. I didn't even realise my mic had disconnected. I was commentating on Davila being spun round. Obviously, not the most ideal situation for him. He just got a bit of a bit shaky coming out the last corner, and that's going to be him out of the run for P5 though. Topher on the back of Scott, who are both trying to catch up to Sumo's. Topher to the inside, backs out of it though, and thinks better of it. Scott with a big lock up though, that could potentially give Topher the run onto Scott. Sorry about that little interruption there. My controller disconnected and obviously disconnected the mic with it, so sorry about that. I do apologise. I didn't even realise, but thanks for letting me know. Otherwise we would have gone the rest of the race and the rest of the night without any comms. Topher then on the back of Scott. He's not got a lot of ERS to do. Scott has expended a lot of his battery as well. Topher's still trying to save ERS behind him. Scott closing up to about 1.5 seconds behind Sumo, and these two looking to make a claim for P4. There's 4 laps, or about 3.5 laps to go in this race. Scott with a lot of lockups as well on those medium compound tyres. Topher then pushing him through these corners, then trying to get back on the gearbox of him and save fuel at the same time. He's low on fuel, probably by only about 0.1 of a lap. Thought he'd gone to make a cup of tea. Of course, that's after the race. That's after the race. Don't worry. No. But Topher then looking on the back of Scott, who is now in DRS range of Sumo, so this is going to help him out quite a lot in defending from Topher. The second man in the train is going to be in the best position to make a claim for the higher position. P5 then, he's in DRS, he's got a lot more ERS than Sumo, so Scott is looking for a good shout of P4. Topher on the back though, and he's not got a lot of ERS to play with, so Scott is going to be able to defend with the DRS and also attack with the DRS, and the amount of ERS he has as well in this stage of the race is astonishing. He's got about 60% ERS. Not this again. No, we'll talk about T after the race, guys. We've got 4 more laps yet, 3 more laps yet to commentate on. So, but yeah, Scott looking on the back of Sumo then, who's getting a bit shaky coming out the penultimate corner. He's got a bit of understeer coming out as well, so Scott with DRS and ERS, he's got a lot more overspeed compared to Sumo, about 10 miles per hour. Sumo squeezes him to the inside. Scott goes even deeper though and claims the position into turn 1 then. Great bit of racing as Scott claims the racing line and takes that position. This could leave Sumo vulnerable from Topher, who's had an amazing run through turn 1 then. Dummies to the inside and Sumo's left vulnerable to the outside. He goes in, there's a bit of contact, bit of wheel rubbing, and Sumo's been sent into the wall by that wheel tap. He's not potentially picked up a bit of damage. It looks like that front wing is fine. Obviously with the reduced damage he looks to be okay, but Topher moved on a bit under braking there and must have tapped him. Sumo was not expecting that and looked to try and hang it around the outside. A bit of wheels happened, and obviously with the open wheel cars then that just sent him completely wide, but Topher needed to then make that move then. He did not want to stick behind Sumo for too long. He was aggressive, he needed to get past, he wants to stay on the back of Scott, and a lovely bit of aggressive racing from Topher there, who had made the most of the better run he had. Further up though, still Ghost leading the way by 4.5 seconds. We're not checked in with the front at the moment, but Topher, Scott's round though. Topher made his job a lot easier. Scott's round, he's out of the session, he's lost the front wheel there, and he's in the wall at the turn 11 chicane, which has proven very difficult for our drivers then today. There's yellow flags, we set the free. Obviously double wave yellows after that incident. Luckily not going to be a VSC or safety car as we come onto the penultimate lap then with Ghost. But yeah, just completely must have just got caught up on the curb, clicked the wheel on the grass, and it just got sent round and could not bring it back. A very difficult corner then, and yeah, Mark, I'm not too proud of that bottle then. But yeah, just very unfortunate. He was driving such a good race, holding off Topher for so long, and it was going to looking to be like quite a good battle. But Tyr on the back of Davila then. Davila, who looked to be so good towards the start of the race, has lost pace towards the end. Looked like he's just taking a bit cautious though. Tyr to the inside, doesn't quite send it, and Davila holds on for now. Scott on the softer tyres though is looking very quick in this latter stage of the race. Davila both with pretty equal ERS. Tyr getting a bit of a shaky run through turn 6, using the grass to open up the corner then. Very interesting line. He's getting a bit shaky exit though with the dirty tyres. He's just picked up. Tyr hanging on that DRS then, and Davila completely out of ERS nearly. He's got no energy recovery system left. He's going to need to charge that up a little bit more. Once you get below 10% as well, the power output is less, so he's looking even worse of a position. Tyr then still just about in DRS as we come through the turn 11-12 chicane. Very fast corner, and he's just about in DRS looking to make a move. He's got a 1.5 laps left as Ghost rounds us on to the final lap of the first race of the night then. Davila with a lock up, same with Tyr, who's taking a very tight line. He's brought that gap back down to 6 tenths, 7 tenths now. He's just trying to stick with him as best he can. Davila looking to hold on. He's only got 17 more corners left to go. Now 16 corners left to drive it around this Melbourne Grand Prix circuit. So Tier needs to be pushing. He needs to be giving it everything on this final lap if he wants to get that P7 position. He also has a penalty, so even if he does get past, he's not going to get the position unless Davila does another spin. Ginger Prince with a 3-second time penalty as well. Ginger with a 3-second time penalty as well. Ghost has a penalty up in front. Let's have a little look how much it is though. It's only 3 seconds, so as it stands he will keep the position. As Tier getting very shaky, trying to bring it back though with about 3 different tries at correcting it. He just completely lost that rear end there coming out of turn 4, and that is him in the wall with damage. Luckily it's the final lap and he's got 40 seconds back to Ginger Prince, but that has completely halted his advance on Davila, who's now looking pretty comfortable to hold on to that P7. Paus in P6 as well, looking pretty good for the rest of the race, who was running in P4 for a while but had a bit of a spin at the turn 11 12 chicane as well, so not quite being able to hang on to that too well. But still in P6, he's also managed to get onto the back of Sumo, so potentially with a couple more laps we could have seen him make some ground up. Has Sumo got a bit damaged? Ghost wins the race, and 6 seconds later we'll see Ted and Vardy cross the line, but with Paus pushing as hard as he can. Potentially if Sumo gets a bit of a shaky start, it could be a run to the line. Sumo then through the penultimate corner looking to hold on to that P5, but Vardy rounds off the podium. Topher in P4. Sumo will now round off the line and across the line to finish P5, followed by Paus with a great showing in P6. His teammate Davila P7. Tier, who with penalties has actually been promoted up into P5, so keeping it clean there has paid dividends for him. Sumo and Paus both fall down to 6th and 7th. Tier a few seconds back comes across in P8. Ginger, who still has Sector 3 to negotiate, will come across P9, followed by Starry, who's only a couple of seconds back on the Renault. And just waiting for him to cross the line. That's 15 laps of action here at the Melbourne Park circuit. Am I blind or did Ted win? No, Ted didn't win. Ted finished P2, 2.9 seconds back, mate. So yeah. But that's been 15 laps of the Melbourne Park circuit. We'll now be heading to Interlagos, the famous Brazilian circuit that hosts a lot of bangers and a lot of pretty good races, a lot of finales, good finales as well. We saw it in 2011 and 12 and 13 with the Sebastian Vettel dominant era, where he got spun round in one of them and it came back just about to win the championship. But the race results after 15 laps of the Melbourne Grand Prix circuit are as follows. Ghost wins from 3 seconds to Ted. Vardy in P3 rounding off the podium. P4 goes to Topher in the Red Bull with a great race and fastest lap as well. Davila P5 after having such a good start from pole position managed to recover to P5. Sumo P6. Paus in a pretty good showing in P7, now amongst the mid-pack. Now he's getting used to that wheel. P8 goes to Tier, P9 to Starry, P10 to Ginger Prince, and 2 DNFs of Scott and Callum, who will be locking out the front row for the next race. So we're going to have a bit of a break while they set up the grid, but it shouldn't be too long until we get back up and racing here for the second and final race of the APPF1 community. I hope you guys are all enjoying. If you do like the stream, it does help the channel out quite a lot, and to have 8 people watching me right now is pretty good as well. So I hope you guys are all enjoying. Let's have a bit of a chat. What were your thoughts on the stream then? Let's have a bit of a discussion. Hopefully not so much about tea this time, but yeah, hopefully not so much about tea, but potentially just your thoughts, your predictions for the next race. What do you think is going to happen then? And yeah, the penalty was already calculated there. As they crossed the line, the penalty calculates, and so the gap was about 2.9, so he was only a couple of seconds off the race win, but looks like Ghost managed to hold on and drove a pretty good race after inheriting the race lead from Davila's spin. So yeah, with the 7 people watching, let's have a bit of a chat. What are your predictions for the next race? How did you think of the last race? Just anything really. Let's have a bit of a discussion while we wait for the next race to get underway. have faith in Scott. Yeah, Scott did look pretty quick in the first race. He held consistent for most of it. Just got a bit caught up on the power and lost the rear end. But Scott is the dirtiest driver on the grid. But yeah, you know, as long as he drives into everyone, you know, to finish first you must finish. So if you make sure everyone else doesn't finish, you know, you'll be alright. Hedgehogs are just a fan because he likes the McLarens. Well, they are very nice looking cars and a very good team. So a bit of bias maybe, but Scott, yeah, he's looking pretty good. He ran a great race, last race up until his mistake, obviously, which did cost him about P4 or P5. And yeah, Mark, feel sorry for Pouse. That was a mega. That really was. I was really, you know, really. It was good to see him up in the top 4 as well. I did say to him, I was like, you need to get a top 6 today, with the wheel. He was looking really good up until that mistake. So you know, the pace is definitely getting there slowly with the with the wheel, and he's only been on it for a couple of weeks. So the progress he's shown is pretty good. But he still managed to recover to what was P6 on track and P7 overall. Which still isn't too bad. He's now amongst the mid-pack of everyone else, and the pace is definitely there. Just needs to get, you know, iron out those silly mistakes a little bit more. Which, you know, to be fair, a lot of people did make through that chicane, so you can't really knock him for it. And yeah, he drove a great race. He'll be starting further up now with the reverse grid as well. So hopefully, you know, he has a better run in Brazil. But it looks like everyone's ready and up now, so we're going to get underway for the reverse grid race here at Interlagos. Don't turn off yet, folks. We've got a what hopefully is going to be a pretty action-packed race. Hedgehogs for life. Both Racing Point drivers looking very strong there. Yeah, they did. They locked out the second and third places on the podium, and then obviously converted it into 1-3 in the race. So definitely a good drive from both the Racing Points there. Who yeah, definitely did look good. They looked very good in quali as well, and converted it into pretty good results for the race, so that hopefully they can carry that momentum over, starting obviously on the back couple of rows for this race. But Interlagos isn't too difficult to overtake ground. It's a very good track for switchback racing here in Interlagos. And Mark Taylor, I love Brazil, should be the last race on the F1 calendar. Definitely agree. As soon as Abu Dhabi got introduced, it was a boring finale. You look forward all the year, you want something to talk about during the off season, and Abu Dhabi just doesn't cut it. The only really interesting race we haven't really had an interesting race. It's literally just been single file racing around the circuit. They have the money, they have the resources to definitely change a bit of the track, so I don't see why they don't. Obviously Sector 3 is a bit hard to change because of the hotel that's been built around it. It's a stunning track to look at, of course, but just, yeah, it doesn't really appeal with the racing, and I'd much rather a track like Interlagos with such history and such good racing still, even with the modern Formula 1 cars, which you can't say a lot about modern tracks. You know, with historic tracks now in the modern cars, Interlagos does provide year in, year out, and I'd love to see it as the finale. Definitely give you something to look forward to rather than Abu Dhabi. But conversations aside, then we're getting ready to go for lights out here at the reverse grid race. I think Callum will be leading the way once again on pole position for the reverse grid race, so he's going to be looking to hold on to that as he leads us off the formation lap. The predicted pit stop strategy then: soft to medium or soft to hard. Pitting around 10, lap 10 for the medium or hard tyres. It looks like Callum's gone for a team change mid-season. He's gone from Ferrari to AlphaTauri. Mark Taylor, Abu Dhabi is dreadful precision. Yeah, pre-season track. Yeah, I'd definitely like to see it in pre-season. It's a good testing track. I guess, you know, it's got a lot of different corners, a lot of high speed, low speed. Definitely good to see where the pace is. And you know, that might make Spain a bit more interesting to take it off the pre-season track as well, because obviously the teams have so much data on that track. It is, you know, it's going to be difficult for them to for it to be sort of an unpredictable race if the teams have so much data on how their car's going to handle there. You know, it could make Catalunya a bit more interesting if Abu Dhabi does take over that pre-season spot. Or, you know, we could just go to somewhere completely different. Go to Fuji for pre-season, maybe, just somewhere different, and yeah, would be pretty decent. But Callum leads the way from Scott in P2, Ginger in P3, Starry P4, Tier P5, Paus P6, starting at around where he finished last race. Sumo P7, Dabbler P8, Topher P9, Vardy P10, Ted P11, and the winner of last race, Ghost starting last for this race as we round the final corner and get ready to line up on the grid. It's a very short run to turn 1, which means the start is very, very important. You need that good launch to make the most into turn 1. It's a left straight into a right, so we could see a lot of cutback racing and hopefully a pretty chaotic start with a lot of overtakes. Ready for 18 laps of the Interlagos circuit, and looks like Callum is rounding himself off. We've also got a bit of a gap back to the racing points further back, so as soon as they're lined up on the grid, we'll be underway and ready to go with the racing then. Hopefully my mic's still working. Let's just double check just before the race. Mic is still working, right? No? Let's quickly disconnect it and reconnect it. As we do go to the lights then, 4 lights, 5 lights, and it is lights out and away we go. And it's a great start from the McLaren, who's already up and past the AlphaTauri into turn 1 then, and the AlphaTauri is going to try and superize himself around the outside of the McLaren holding station and taking the race line into turn 2. Then further back there's a bit of a car wide, it looks like a Renault's wise through turn 1 and 2, opting to just take to the runoff further back. It looks like Starry and the Mercedes had a pretty good start. The McLaren and AlphaTauri going side by side. The AlphaTauri launching an attack, going for it around the outside. He's managed to get it stuck, but he drives off the track, so the McLaren's going to reclaim that position. Further back though, it looks like there's a spinner of Ginger who's wide and off the track, having to concede to Ted and Vardy further back. And further back, looks like Palf's up into P5, making a position off the start as well. So Scott with a great start in the McLaren then. The Hedgehog's prediction looking good so far as we round off lap 1. Further back, Sumo with a holding station for the moment. Looks like Ginger has had a completely awful start then. And Davila and Palf's, the two Hasses, having a pretty good start up in front. Callum trying to stick in that DRS of Scott then. We're not going to have DRS until about lap 3. But Davila on the back of his teammate Palf's, and Tyr looking to get past Starry as well for the final podium place as we round off lap 1 then. Scott leads from Callum, from Starry and Tyr, who's looking to go around the outside. Starry defends to the inside, and Tyr looking to the outside for turn 1 and 2. He's going to go for it. It's going to be a nice little send around the outside if he can brake late enough. He's going to concede. There's a very deep Williams there who's trying to stay on the back of Davila back then. So Sumo very, very deep on the brakes. Big lock up then, and Starry in the slipstream coming to look for turn 3. It's going to be close enough. There's a car pulling out further back as well. Looks like the Haas of Davila looking to get back up the inside of his teammate. Do not want to be doing that with your teammate. That's going to leave him vulnerable to Sumo, who's going to look to the inside for uphill. Davila squeezes him off the track then, and Sumo still trying to hang in there. He had a really good run then, and Davila squeezed him off the track a little bit. Sumo having then to concede to avoid spinning out. Looks like Topher as well trying to get on the action as well. Looks like we're going one by one all down. It's a massive, massive train. It looks like Starry's managed to hold on to that P3 position for now. Palf's Tyr still looking pretty close behind though, and waiting for the opportunity to arrive. Starry hanging on in the slipstream of Callum as well, who's trying to stay in the DRS of Scott, ready for lap 3. It looks like he's just about managing to do that. Starry and Tyr then. Tyr taking as short as line as possible. He's not using the ERS. Starry is out of ERS for the lap, and to the inside Tyr goes. Is he going to be letting off on the brakes? He sends one to the inside. Starry off the track on the grass. Tyr up the inside. Is Starry going to have to concede? It looks like he's gone very wide and opted to take to the runoff, so he's going to lose the position to Palps, who's up into P4. He's going to lose the position to Davila, who's up into P5, and he's going to be under pressure from Sumo, who is looking up the inside with DRS and overtake. Up the inside into turn 3 he goes, then up the inside. Very, very tight. Very, very tight. He's up the inside. Bit of ding-dong battling. Starry sent off the track from Sumo, who was on the inside. This could leave him vulnerable from Topher, who is behind. And Davila looking to get past his teammate for P4. Then Palps holding on very, very well, and his pace is looking really good. Then here at Interlagos, he's looking to try and potentially chase down Tyr for a podium. Callum just about hanging on in the slipstream and DRS of Scott up in front. He needs to try and launch an attack. He's got equal number of ERS, but as we say that, he goes very wide. He's got a massive moment there, and he's been sent wide. He's trying to get back onto the race line, but he does not want to leave any room. The Williams going off the track to try and to avoid him. Up the inside he goes then, and Callum's going to lose up 5 positions then, and he's going to be the massive, massive loser out of all this. It's going to be 3 wide, 4 gaggle of cars then. Callum looking to try and hold on to the position. He's down into P8. The Racing Point then making the most of the moves, and up the inside onto the Red Bull he goes then for P6. Up the inside into turn 1 then. Topher sends it around the outside. He's going to get the move done. He's looking potentially to go for a move on Simo, but he's going to have a compromise run through turn 2, and Ghost sets up a very, very nice cutback, and Palps and Tyr both with 3-second time penalties then, and it goes up into P6. Callum the biggest loser. He's down into P11. He's going to be being completely mugged and been completely mugged, and it looks like Paus then, after Callum's spin, has been promoted up into P3. Ted around the outside of Vardy once again, making the most of this position. Up the hill we go then into the fast right-hander. Starry's going to have the entire, Ted's going to have the inside. Vardy around the outside, keeping him pinned on those medium tyres. Ted not making the most of these soft tyres as he perhaps would have liked. He's definitely planning to get through the traffic a lot quicker, and Vardy's going to hold on to that P9 position and try and chase after Starry up in P8. Davila still on the back of Paus, who's still trying to get past Tier. He's got a lot of ERS. Tier as well with a lot of ERS to use, and we come on to the back pit straight. The DRS detection point is quite far up. He's not going to have a lot of time to use DRS, but he's had a really good run, and so is Davila. So potentially if Paus goes to the inside, he's dummies to the inside, looks to the outside and quickly switches to the inside. He's going to have the inside then for turn 1. Davila as well looking to try and follow his teammate through. It looks like he's going to do that with the DRS, and up the inside they go then. It's a Haas double podium as it stands. Tier trying to keep it around the outside, but Davila is just going to force his way through, claim the racing line, and that is both Haas's up into the podium places then. Paus up into P2. Great start, and Scott soaring away then, making the most of all this battling. Further back, Ghost is looking to make a move on Sumo, who around the outside he goes into turn 3. Pretty simple move, and they're chasing down the podium sitters on the top 4. Tier looking to get past Davila. He's got a really good run, has to back out there, and he's not quite going to be close enough to Davila on this occasion. Paus then trying to stretch his lead. A lot of understeer then, so potentially a bit of wing damage maybe on that Renault, or just getting caught up in the dirty air. Looks like Ghost and Sumo are both driven up onto the back of him. We're going to have a massive train then further back for this P4 position. Tier not quite been able to stick with it. Paus goes in pretty deep though, and he spun round though from second of the way again. Such a great position. He spun round similar to where Callum did it, coming out of that tricky right-hander where we saw Lewis Hamilton take out Alex Albon in the 2019 Brazilian Grand Prix. And Paus, after we've jinxed it, guys, we've done the commentator's curse. He was up into P2. Davila promoted into P2, just under the pressure then. Paus got a bit caught up on the grass, and Tier promoted back up into the podium places. Ghost falling a little bit behind. He's under pressure from Sumo, who's just trying to stick with him potentially. And Davila further up as well, gone a little bit deep. This could potentially give Tier the run he needs in DRS. He's got the ERS to use. Davila, once again, already out of ERS. We're only 6 laps in. We're a third of the way through. Tier's to the inside. Davila does have nothing to defend with. Further back, Ghost defending from Sumo up the inside. Sumo trying to keep it around the outside. Just about gets it. They're going to be side by side up the hill. They go then. Ghost on the outside. It's going to be a tricky move to make. Is he going to send it? Use the grip he has. Sumo claims the racing line though, and completely shuts the door. Very good defending then from Sumo, who finds himself up into P4 and chasing down the podium places. Tier back up in front of Davila, who has definitely used up a lot. And I saw your message retracted there, Hedgehogs, as you jinxed the Paus incident a little bit. But Davila still needs to just charge up his ERS. Same with Tier. Scott looking really comfortable up in front there. He's got a buttload of ERS to be using. There's a very big train then as we go from second down. But Davila made a really good run coming out of the penultimate corner then. And Tier getting a bit shaky. He's not got a lot of ERS, and neither is Davila. Completely drained the battery. Tier not with a lot of ERS to catch back up. And Davila back up into P2 then. And Tier's reign of P2 very short-lived. Further back though, Paus looking to make some moves. He's still on the back of this massive DRS train, so any incidents he could still find himself getting back up at the places. But Paus, after under pressure from the P2 positions, finds himself spinning and back into P8. Your heart is beating so quickly, man. So is mine. I'm running out of breath as we speak. Very it's a workout this is. But Tier still trying to hang on to Davila, who's looking to chase after Scott, who, as Hedgehog hopefully doesn't jinx it this time, is looking really good in the McLaren. Looks like everyone's just holding station though. They can't really do much with the DRS as everyone has it, so everyone's going to be able to defend with the extra overspeed. But Sumo has driven up onto the back of Tier, who is losing Davila a bit. He's managing to stretch his leg. Tier then trying to save a bit of ERS, and Sumo closing on him. He's making the most of this conservative period from Tier, who's lost the DRS to Davila up in front then just before the DRS detection point. So Sumo with DRS then is going to be looking to make a move on Tier, who's also under pressure from Ghost, so he's going to be looking backwards rather than forward. Tier dives into the pits late then. He is the first to react to the pits. He'll be going on to the medium tyres then and looking to go for an undercut while all these guys are battling. And further back, you know, it's definitely a good strategy. It looks like Paus has followed him as well, both going for an undercut then. And while they're in the clear air and while all these guys are battling, like Ghost going up the inside, Sumo squeezes him all the way to the inside, but Ghost finds the room and claims the racing line once again. He's up into P3 from the last place on the grid, and he finds himself back in front of Sumo, who is looking to get back past. He's had a good run up the hill in the slipstream. Is he going to be close enough? Not on this occasion. He's going to have to back out, try and set up a good exit and send it up the inside. He's going to get a buttload of understeer though are not going to be able to hold on. Ghost then set free to try and chase after Davila, but let's talk about the strategy from Tyr and Palps then. They're looking to go for an undercut. While all these guys are in a big train battling, these guys in the clear air with no battles going on whatsoever can definitely make the most of any calamity that does happen. And while they're all battling, they're all losing time. So definitely could be a good strategy call from Tyr and Palps. Pitting early. Be interesting to see who reacts next. Looks like Davila's eked into the lead of Scott up in front. Brought that gap down by about a second. Scott just trying to conserve the ERS. He's not got a lot though. He's only down to 30%. So he is looking to push to try and stay out of that DRS range of Davila, but there's so much overspeed that Sumo could look to the inside. He decides to back out of it though, and it looks like these two are having a lovely little tussle. Tofarun and Vardy both looking to get involved as well. It's a 4-car train then for the final podium place, and Ghost is managing to hang on. Sumo in DRS, he's not got a lot of ERS to play with though, and Vardy in the best position. He's got a lot of ERS to use, so he could definitely try and saw his way through the pack. Sumo pushing Ghost through that corner, and Ghost isn't managing to get into the lead of Davila, who's trying to close into the gap of Scott. He's now back under 2 seconds. As we were saying, that Tyr has been given a 3-second time penalty, in Ginger with a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. It looks like Starry has reacted and come into the pits. We'll have a little look at the penalty situation. Callum with 8 seconds, Ginger with 5 seconds, Tyr with 6 seconds, which definitely isn't going to help him whatsoever. Looks like Starry's opting for the hards, everyone else going for the medium tyre. Ghost then hanging on to Sumo, and Vardy just trying to sit back. He's got a lot of ERS and he's looking to make a charge after the pit stops. I'm guessing he's got overtake, he's got DRS on Tofa, who is looking pretty vulnerable. He's not quite as close in the slipstream. Davila sets the fastest lap of a 10.2. Who's that into the pits then? That's Vardy and Ghost. They both react to each other, and it looks like Tofa's also into the pits. So this is going to promote Vardy up into P4. He's got the clear air now. He can start pushing and potentially go for an overcut. He's on the medium tyres, so he's stuck with the soft tyres really, really well then in this first stint. He hasn't been dropped whatsoever, so he could definitely be in a shout for a late charge in this race. He's got 9 laps left, 8.5 laps left in this race, and he's going to be on the soft tyres when he comes in. There's yellow flags through sector 1. Is there any spinners? Is there anyone going slowly? Palps has managed to get a good little undercut on Tofa, who's opted for the soft tyres though, so he went with the slower tyres similar to how Vardy did. He's going to be on the softest and quickest tyre then for the remainder of the race. He's going to be eking into that gap of Palps, who's come out about 8 tenths behind Ghost. So a very good little undercut then from Palps. Tyr finds himself in P6 as well, not even before everyone else has pit. So Vardy on the back of Sumo, already in DRS and looking to make a move. Sumo looking to come into the pits pretty soon then, I'm guessing. And Vardy could pit with the soft runners, as he's noticed these guys, you know, have the grip even in these later stages, but he's going to stay out. Sumo peels into the pits then, so Vardy promoted into that P3 position and potentially on the better strategy. He has got very, very good tyres. Mark Taylor, just while we've got a bit of a time to breathe. Palps on the back of Ghost though, so we haven't really got time to breathe. He's got a lot of ERS, and he's going to have DRS as well coming down the pit straight. He's going to have ERS as soon as it's the detection point. He's got DRS wide open. It looks like Ghost is going to peel into the pits once again. Has he picked up damage then on his outlap? So he's going to have to pit again, which is going to completely ruin his race. And Palps with a pretty easy run then up into P6. Ted is going to be close as they both come out the pit lane though. Is Palps going to be ahead? It looks like he's got the position ahead of Ted. So Palps up into P6 then. So he's played the strategy really well. But going back to Mark Taylor's comment then, well done APP community, proud of you guys, great race, and it is definitely a great race so far. 11 laps in, we've got 7.5 laps remaining. And so far, Davila leads the way as Scott has come into the pits then for the medium tyres. Davila eking out that soft stint as much as he can so he can have the fresher medium tyres towards the end. Vardy as well eking out that medium stint for as long as he can. He doesn't want to leave it too late though, as he's not going to have a lot of time to capitalise on the softer tyre. So if he comes in now, he could definitely have a good run. It looks like he is going to come in now. He's going to come in now and opt for the soft tyre. So Davila eking out this soft stint very, very long and looking to go on to the medium tyres afterwards and have very, very fresh tyres. But Vardy coming into the pits then with 11 lap old medium tyres. Is Scott going to jump in it? Probably will be a pretty easy pass. Vardy now putting on the soft compound tyre. It'll be interesting to see where he comes out. Scott then up into P3. Is Tyr going to follow suit as well? Has this undercut worked for him? He's got a 6-second time penalty. Has he got the move? Vardy has a tighter line and with no pit assist either. Looks like Tyr has managed to make the move work, and the undercut has worked very, very good dividends for him then, and he finds himself up into P3. But Vardy into P4, he's not that far off the P3 and 2, and he's on a lot better tyres. So let's see if he can get back onto the DRS of them. Then it looks like the field has spread, but Vardy will be interesting to stay on board with, as he is chasing after P3, P2, and when Davila comes in, potentially could have a shot at P1. Scott has been controlling this race for some time, and he finds himself on a net P1 position for when Davila comes into the pits. Is he going to come into the pits this lap? Be interesting to see. Callum, after starting pole position, finds himself in P12. Ghost, after his second pit stop, opting for the softer tyre, is not looking too good. He's 22 seconds back off the nearest competitor, and Ginger Prince picks himself up another 3-second time penalty. So Davila into the pits, then opting for the longer strategy. It looks like Scott should, in theory, soar past around the outside of him through the pit lane. It'll be interesting to see. Topher on the back of Ted as well down this pit straight. Ted not with any ERS to defend with. Powers picks himself up a 3-second time penalty. Is the Red Bulls just going to use team orders? Topher is going to be a lot faster at this stage of the race. So Ted doesn't even fight it, just concedes, and it looks like Topher is setting powerful sectors, so he is also looking really quick. Davila then down into P2. He comes out in P2, but he's going to have fresher tyres, and he's in the DRS of Scott. So this overcut has worked pretty well for him. Vardy eking into the lead of Tier, who's holding on to P3, not quite being able to stick with our two leaders for the time being. Let's see if these two battle, then that could allow Vardy to try and stay with him. Ghost setting fastest lap to the 109.4, very quick lap times from him then, as he's trying to make the most of what was a pretty dire strategy situation. Vardy though all over the back of Tier. Looks like Davila as well trying to close in on Scott, who didn't quite have the pace compared to Davila towards the end of the first stint, but he's both on pretty equal tyres, and Davila on the fresher tyres. He's in the DRS. He hasn't quite got a lot of ERS to use. He's got a lot more than he did at this stage of the last race though, and for the race lead then, Davila using up all his ERS already, trying to get the good slingshot momentum. He's going to have DRS as well on the run into turn 1 then. Scott doesn't even defend. He's confident with the outside. Davila to the inside then for the race lead. Up the inside he goes then, and Davila claims the racing line, and Scott is going to concede that position and try and stay with him. Have another go is Tier and Vardy. Vardy soars around the outside of turn 1 and has the inside for turn 2. So he is still on a charge then for this race, and Scott conceding that position. Can you still hear me? Can you still hear me, guys? Just wondering, because the mic isn't working at the moment. Just wondering. Don't want to be commentating and it not be working. Yes, awesome. Okay, cheers. Thanks for that. Just making sure. Awesome. So Scott's still trying to stick in the DRS of Davila. He's got a lot more ERS to be using. Do let me know if it cuts out though, guys, because I want to amend it pretty quickly. So if it does cut out, do let me know. Still trying to work it out. Topher on the back of Powers though for P6. Powers running a pretty good race, and the undercut has worked for him pretty well. He's on the back of hasn't had a problem all day. Okay, awesome, mate. Cheers. But Scott in DRS, he's going to have ERS. He just needs a good run coming out of the final penultimate corner as we round off at lap 14. So we're going to have 4 laps of this race to go. Is he close enough to make a move? He's going to have DRS. Is Davila try and make a bit of redemption for the first race as he looks to try and extend his lead? It looks like Scott's pushing as hard as he can, but he's not going to be close enough on this occasion. Topher up the inside of Paus into turn 1. Paus going really deep on the brakes. Has a big lock up though, and he isn't going to be doing his tyres any good. This could leave him vulnerable from Ted behind. He's a little bit further behind, so it's not going to be quite what he needs. Vardy though looking to eke into the lead of the leaders. Scott trying to close in as best he can. He's still within that 5/10 range, so he is going to have a lot of DRS to be using. He just needs to stick with him, and if Davila makes a mistake like he did last race, he's going to be the one to capitalise. Vardy looking quick though in the racing point. We said the racing points have been looking really good all day, and he is looking good on the better tyres to try and make a claim for this race lead. He needs to make the most of these fresh tyres, and now though Sumo on the back of Tier for P4. Tier falling a little bit back now as his older tyres, and we're seeing the older tyres now try and seeing the older tyres come into effect. But we'll have a little look at the penalty situation. Davila with a 3-second penalty, so he needs to get the gap then to Scott, who's just trying to stick with him and stay within that 3-second range. As it stands, Davila will fall down to P3 from the lead, so that penalty is going to cost him quite a lot. Scott just needs to stay within 3 seconds. Vardy just needs to stay within 3 seconds. He's almost in DRS of Scott then, and if they battle too much, Scott definitely could just be a bit wise, concede the P3 position, let Vardy go chase after Davila, because if not, Davila could definitely extend his lead out of the 3-second range. It looks like Scott has fallen out of ERS and DRS range of Davila. Vardy then in DRS, he's looking to make a move. He's got fresher tyres, he's closing the gap, he's got a lot of overspeed compared to Scott, about 4 miles an hour overspeed, which is a lot in racing. He's going to have a run up the hill he goes then. Scott trying to conserve his ERS. You can see with that flashing red light, that means he's in energy conservation mode, and Davila looking to stay in P1. He needs to get a 3-second gap to Vardy behind. But Vardy on the soft compound tyres is only 4/10 behind Scott, who's looking to get up into P2. He's on the softer compound tyres, so it should be a pretty plain sailing move. Even if Scott defends, Vardy should have the grip to tour around the outside. Topher further back on the back of Sumo, tears wide and over the grass. Not going to be doing his tyres any good whatsoever. Vardy then 5/10 back. He just needs a good run coming out of this final corner. And on the fresher tyres, he's got a lot more ERS to be using the energy recovery system, giving him that extra 140 brake horsepower. He's got the overspeed. He's got the speed to go for it into turn 1. He's going to have quite a good run. Scott to the inside, Vardy to the outside as we shoot into turn 1 around the outside. Vardy tries to go. Scott keeps him pinned to the outside. Vardy though up the inside for turn 2, and that's going to be a pretty plain sailing move. He's now on the charge for Davila. 1.5 seconds is the gap. Davila with a 3-second time penalty is going to lose this race as it stands, but Sumo a little bit further back. He's under pressure from the P5 man of Topher, who's looking to the outside for turn 4. He's not quite going to be close enough on this occasion. But Sumo hanging on to P4, then Topher on the back of him. He's under pressure from Tier, who's been mugged off by these two further back. Vardy eking into the lead of Davila. Scott just trying to stay in the DRS of Vardy, try and stick with him if Vardy and Davila have a bit of a battle behind, up in front. But Vardy on a charge then. He's already into DRS range of Davila, who's coming up to lap Ginger Prince then, and he moves out the way very nicely. Even with being ghosted, it can be a bit of a distraction. Headrocks for life, my blood pressure too, mate. This is a very, very tight race. Scott is looking good for P2. Your man is looking good for P2 as long as he hangs on to it as it is. Topher out of the final corner then. We lead on to the penultimate lap of the race, lap 17 of 18. Topher in the slipstream. He's got a little bit of ERS. They're both no ERS to use. Tier as well looking to make the most. Sumo to the inside. Topher to the outside. He looked for a dummy. Looks to find the space. They can be so close. You couldn't put a sheet of paper between them. Sumo squeezes them all the way to the outside. There's a car round though. Looks like Starry's round. So no one up in the lead battle going round. But it looks like Topher's managed to make the move up in to P4. This could leave Sumo vulnerable from Tier behind. He's looking at to make the most of any calamity. It looks like Callum's around coming out of turn 5 as well. Tier on the back of Sumo, but further up, Vardy has managed to close up the gap to Davila to about 6/10. Then he's got one more lap. This is now the final lap. I got caught up there, so it's now the final lap for these lead races. He needs to get this move done. He's all over the back of him. He needs to use up all his ERS he can while he can. And lap 18 of 18 then. Davila just about hanging on to the lead on track. He's going to lose it with the penalty though. Scott just trying to hang on there into the 3-second gap. Vardy then, it needs a really good run coming out of the final corner. He's going to win the race anyway as long as he doesn't spin. He's low on fuel. He's going to have the ERS. He's pushing all the way to the line. Davila will probably hang on to it for the race lead. Coming across the line, Davila wins the race on track, but with the penalty it will be Vardy who is your race winner. He comes across the line to win. Scott further back. Is he just out of the DRS range? He is out of the range to claim P2 by 1/10 of a second. Scott misses out on P2 and it settles for P3. Topher P4, Sumo across the line in P5, Palps in P6, Ted P7, Tier P8, Ghost P9, Callum P10, Ginger P11 and Starry now coming across the line to finish at P12. A very, very good reverse grid race. He's going to stop just before the line. Just make us wait a little bit more. But across the line and going to be treating us to some donuts. How nice of him. No, he's going to be backwards across the line. So after a very, very intense bit of racing then from everyone, that just, wow, that was so close in the end. Vardy so close to get up onto the back of Davila. This is F1. You are very much right. That was an exciting race. It was a very good race. You're right, Mark. Great racing, guys. Great comms. Have a good week, guys. And you, mate. Thank you for the kind words. But as we watch the podium place, Vardy is your driver of the day as well. But Vardy wins then ahead of Davila, who just about hangs on to P2 ahead of Scott in P4. Topher and Sumo in P5 with his penalties lost out to Topher. So Topher with 2 P4s in a row. Very, very good showing from him. Palps in P6. Again, really good consistent race finishes for him. He hangs on to his starting position. Ted up to P7. Tier in to P8. That undercut strategy didn't work quite as well for him. He made a lot of mistakes and that 12-second penalty definitely didn't help him. Ghost in P9 then. He couldn't quite make the most of his pace and the momentum from the first race, so he finishes in P9 after an extra stop. He gets the fastest lap though. Callum in P10, Ginger in P11 and no DNFs today, and Starry rounding off the grid in P12. So after an exciting night of racing, guys, if you do want to say anything now, do say it just before I do an outro. What did you think of the race? And that was very, very intense, it must be said, and thank you so much for sticking around. So you do want to get any last words in, guys, this is your chance to say it. Great commentary. Thank you, Bosch, mate. I appreciate the kind words. Hedgehog, you got anything to say? Your man in P3. Great. Yeah. Your man was looking really good in P3 there. Scott did look really good. Almost had P2. We'll be checking in tomorrow. Yeah, I should have a video up tomorrow, mate. Hopefully, I will have for you. Fingers crossed. Thank you so much for sticking around with the channel, though, mate. I do appreciate it. So much. Thanks for obviously staying in chat as well. Thank you to everyone. If you have enjoyed, do like and subscribe. It does help the channel. Also, go check out APPF1, who has given me a tremendous amount of support with the commentary and support me all the way. A lot of kind words, getting my name out there. So I have to give a big thank you to him as well. Big thank you to just everyone involved with APPF1 for giving me this opportunity to try my hand at comms. So far, it's been going really well, and I've had a lot of support. So if you have, guys, enjoyed it, once again, I'll say it again: like and subscribe, share it about. And I've been Zach. This has been APPF1, and goodbye.